Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our sixth session of the Standard Bank Grow Your Business It Can Be online business talk. I'm Desiree London Miller, Marketing Manager and Partner at the Namibia Economist, and your host for this session. Our presenters with me in the studio today is on my left, Stefan Labuskaghni. He's the Managing Member at Evolve Namibia, and Felicia Uester, she's Manager of Enterprise Direct at Standard Bank. So welcome to all of you, and I trust that you will enjoy this session with us. I would also like to just inform you that Sybil Sumais could not join us today as she is unwell, and we wish her all the best with her health and hope she will recover soon. So thank you for that. And before we start, I just want to remind you that the competition, courtesy of Standard Bank, is only available to those of you that are logged in live for the event, and we've posted a link for Discord, the Discord link where you can access the competition entry form as well as the chat room on the YouTube. There will be 3 questions that you need to answer, and 2 of those questions will be coming from Stefan's presentation. And after he's done his presentation, I will give you a chance to complete those 2 questions. And then the last question will be from Felicia's presentation. But you don't need to worry, I will keep on reminding you to enter the competition. And courtesy of Standard Bank, our previous winner was Paulus Ikongo. He won the prize of the PayPal's business voucher to the value of 5,000 from Standard Bank. And with that, I want to give it over to Felicia, who will announce the winner for the last competition.
Yes. So thank you for staying tuned with us, and we've missed you. We haven't spoken for last month. So today we would just want to announce the winners for the last series that we've done. So after a lot of deliberations and discussions, engagements, we decided to rather split this time the 5,000 between two participants that brought equally to the table in terms of answers and giving back feedback in terms of the questions posed by our marketing team, together with Desiree's awesome questions on Discord. So the winners that we will be giving each one a voucher of 2,500, a PayPal's voucher, is Ms. Laimi Shikomba and then Mr. Delano Yanare. Well done. Let's give them a round of applause. Well done. We will then, within this week, our marketing team will be in contact with you to share the details in terms of how you can claim your prize within this week. Then, secondly, also we just want to announce, by participating today in the Discord in terms of the questions, so the next prize coming up now is a cash voucher of $500, PayPal's voucher then for the next session. So for today, the winners that are coming through today, we will then announce the winner then in our next session for next month. Thank you so much. Desiree, back to you.
Thank you. Okay, so remember to access the entry form on the link that is displayed in the Discord chat, and all the successful entries will go into a draw, and the winner will be notified and announced by Standard Bank. So thank you for that. Now, our topic for April was e-commerce and how to successfully transition your business to the e-commerce reality. And for those of you that have joined for the session or watched it later on demand, we discussed different strategies and avenues that you could launch, of how you could launch this digital marketplace that will enable you to join the click and collect universe. And every entrepreneur should see this as a way to, as a source of how to grow their business. So venturing into the e-commerce is apart from the fact that you will grow your sales, it strengthens your offering and you reach a much wider public, and also it gives you valuable analytics where your customers are concerned. All these videos are still available on demand, and you can still go and watch that, and it will stay on the website for the duration of the whole series. Now, our topic for today is render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and that's accounting, taxes, audits, and compliance. And those are the things that no entrepreneur wants to put up with. And I take that from myself. It's the last thing that you think about or want to concern yourself about. But as we all know, you can pay dearly if you let that go by the wayside. Now, with this talk, we want to help you determine whether your business meet the industry rules, regulations, and obligations, and that you benefit from the regulations that's been put in place and also from the compliance that you need to do. So for our first presentation today, our speaker is Stefan Labuskaghni. He's co-founder and partner of Evolve Accounting and Tax Advisory Firm. He's a professional accountant registered with NIPA, a vocation which he has practiced over 16 years. And Evolve focuses on financial services specifically for SMEs, providing services that include business and financial management, accounting, audit, tax, secretarial, and other related specialized services. Now, Evolve is proudly a Namibian group and is led by a dynamic group of chartered and professional accountants, of which Stefan is the owner. And their focus is on bringing the technology of the future to the SME of today. And with that, I would like to give over to Stefan. Thank you, Stefan.
Thank you very much, Desiree. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today, and I hope someone will learn something positive from the day. So what we'll be covering today, we'll be going through your business registration process. We'll do a bit of compliance, a bit of accounting, and then some general information. All of this I've tried to compress quite a lot. It's a big topic, and I hope you learn something and that it can be of value to your business later on. So let's start by looking at who is your Namibian businesses. First off, you have your companies. Companies is regulated and registered by BIPA. Under the Companies Act, you basically have three types of companies. You have your PTY limited companies that is owned and traded privately between private individuals. And then you have your limited entities that is traded on the JSE, on the NSX, is publicly traded companies. And you have your Section 21 companies. Section 21 companies, for those of you that is involved with companies like that, is mostly for schools or charities where the purpose of the company is to serve a community or a group of people. So it's no ownerships, but it's still incorporated under the Companies Act. Should you want to register one of these three companies, it's always good to consult a professional accountant or a chartered accountant. And I would also advise use a professional service provider when you try to register these companies, because it can be complicated. Remember also, companies is very expensive to administrate, so make sure that it is the right vehicle for your business before you register a company. Second one is closed corporations. Closed corporations is also registered and regulated by BIPA. We usually speak about CCs when we speak about closed corporations. Again, consult a professional accountant before you register a CC. CCs are usually suitable for all of the SMEs. One thing that I would like to point out here, which is quite important for registering CC, try to avoid undertaking sharks. What we speak in the industry from undertaking sharks is when you register your CC, you go to certain accountants and they sell you a letter of undertaking, and that's the last time you ever hear about that accounting. As you see in the later slides, you'll notice your accountant is quite important in your business for an SME, so make sure you go to a professional accountant that will assist you further on, just not sell you the undertaking letter. Third category is trust. Trust is regulated and registered by the Master of the High Court under the Trust Monies Protection Act. You get three types of trust. You have testamentary trust, that is created from the last will and testament of someone who passed away. You have inter vivos or living trust, which are usually your family trusts. And you have discretionary trusts, which are generally used for business purposes. Like I said, mainly trust is used for estate planning purposes, but it can also be used for family or community-style businesses where a group of people work together for a common goal or benefit. Again, before you register a trust, please consult a trust practitioner first. There's a list available at the Master of the High Course of trust practitioners. Make sure you use a registered trust practitioner. Last but not least, you have individual businessmen. Currently, there is no registration available for professional or individual businessmen. In the past, you could have used a provision under the Companies Act to register yourself a defensive name. That has been cancelled by BIPA, so there's no registration facility at the moment for individual businessmen. What is an individual businessman? Individual is regulated professionals like doctors or accountants or quantity surveyors. These individuals are required by law to trade as an individual for accountability reasons. Then you get your unregistered traders, which are your street vendors or grocer or general business person. They're not required to be registered under any of the legal entities or under law, so they trade in their own personal name. So if we look at general compliance, all businesses must register with the municipality to get a registration or a fitness certificate if you want to trade in a certain municipal area. If you don't register, you can be quite severely fined, or even the municipality has the power to force you to close your business. So please make sure you get the necessary registration certificates from the municipality. There is always an officer or an office that can help you to register and provide you with the forms at the municipality. Then you have industry regulators. Industry regulators, I've put them in three categories roughly. First off, you have your professional entities or professional businesses like doctors or lawyers or accountants, for instance. They need to comply with certain academic criteria before you can register or start trading as a doctor or an accountant. And those criteria are managed by institutes. I've listed, for instance, ICANN or NIPA, INQS, or the Law Society. If you haven't qualified on the academic criteria set forth by these institutes, you cannot trade as a doctor or a lawyer or whatever your profession would like to be. Then the second group is what I call industry regulators. For instance, if you want to be an estate agent, you need to register with NIEP, or if you want to trade in the tourism industry, you need to register with the NTB, or if you're a farmer, you must register with the meat board. So if you're not registered with one of these boards or regulators, you cannot register your business. BIPA won't allow you to register your business, and the banks, for instance, won't allow you to open a bank account. So you will automatically be blocked if you want to operate in a certain industry and you don't have the registration for that. All these boards are available to the public, and the criteria and the application forms are available, and in most cases not that complicated, so just go to the institute or the board and they will assist you to register for that. The last point is unions. I've put in the Namibian Agricultural Union as an example for farmers. It's a helpful thing for a farmer to register with the Agricultural Union. You get certain advantages to your business. So when you're doing business and you speak to other people in your industry, they will tell you, register with this union or this association, and this will help you, and this will be the benefit. So just listen to your fellow businessmen, and they will guide you on that point. Next point that I put on there is FIA, or Financial Intelligence Act. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that, because that's a big topic on its own. What you need to understand from FIA is the purpose of FIA is to combat terrorism and money laundering. So for a business or SME, it's important for you to know your client. You need to know who is your client and where does that money come from. For instance, if you open a bank account, you would have seen that Standard Bank would have a lot of forms and things that you need to fill in. If you try to deposit a certain amount of money at the bank, they would have you sign a declaration stating where that money comes from. The same applies with you. You need to know where your customer gets his money from, where he's registered, and who is your customer, so that you don't fall into a trap where you do business with someone that is supporting terrorism or is doing money laundering, for instance. So that is the purpose of Financial Intelligence Act. The second compliance issue is BIPA. BIPA is your Business and Intellectual Property Authority. All companies and close corporations must annually submit an annual duty return. It's a CM23 or a CC7 form, and there's a prescribed fee that you must pay. If you don't submit this form and pay this fee, then BIPA has the authority to cancel your business registration if you don't comply with that requirement. Master of the High Court. They oversee all the trust funds, and they also have a requirement that all trusts must, within 3 months after the financial year end of the trust, submit a FIA declaration form as well as a copy of the financial statements of the trust. This is not something that you can do for yourself, so you need to use a trust practitioner to do that for you. Again, a list is available from the Master of the High Court, so if you want to use a trust, then it's something you need to take note of. Then we start to get into the taxes. Income tax. Who needs to register for income tax? All Namibian registered entities, trusts, companies, and closed corporations must immediately upon registration with BIPA of the Master of the High Court, must go and register a tax number with NAMRA. They are in the process of automating that, whereby that will be automatically done as soon as your registration certificate is issued by the authorities. Individual business persons, is irrespective of nationality, must register with NAMRA as soon as you earn from a Namibian source. So what is a Namibian source? A Namibian source is where the service was rendered or the good was sold within the Namibian economic zone, irrespective of the nature, time of currency. So it doesn't matter what service or goods you sold, when you did it, or in what currency you were paid for it. It is, if it's done in the Namibian economic zone, you earned from the Namibian source, then you must register for tax in Namibia. So what is your responsibilities? As soon as you're registered for tax in Namibia with NAMRA, you must submit an annual form to BIPA, to NAMRA, sorry. You must submit an annual form to NAMRA where you will declare all your revenue and income that you earned from the year. On that form, then the Income Tax Act will allow you to certain of that income to be exempted. So you must tell them all your income. Then they will say, this income is exempted. They will also then grant you certain deductions to be made against that income. And then the net profit from that is taxable. Companies is taxed at 32%. Trust and individuals is taxed on a sliding scale, whereby the first 50,000 is tax-free, and depending on the difference above that, you will be taxed on a rate between 18 and 37%. Value-added tax is the next tax that you will work with when you are an SME. So when do you need to register for value-added tax? All Namibian taxpayers must register for value-added tax when your business revenue, this does not include salary income or specifically exempted income, so your business revenue, as your business revenue exceeds 500,000 in any given consecutive 12 months. This is important. People don't usually understand that it's any consecutive 12 months. If your business revenue exceeds or is likely to exceed 500,000, you must register for VAT. You don't have an option. If you don't comply, there's some severe penalties for that, that NAMRA can fine on you. Namibian taxpayers may also voluntarily register for VAT if that revenue is over 200,000. NAMRA will require you to prove that it's over 200,000, then you can voluntarily register as well for VAT if you want to prepare for eventually your business growing, for instance. So what is your responsibilities again? As soon as you are registered for VAT, you then become a tax collector on behalf of NAMRA. So to use a practical example, you have a business selling pencils, for instance. So you buy a pencil from your supplier, you pay $90. That $90 consists of $78 for the pencil and $12 VAT that they levied on that pencil, so you pay them $90. You then add $10, which is your profit, and your selling price is then $100. As soon as you become VAT registered, you as a VAT vendor must then add 15% onto that selling price. So now your selling price becomes $115. What that means is at each VAT period, there's different, depending on how you are registered. It can be 2 monthly, 4 monthly, 6 monthly, or 12 monthly. You must then complete a return and submit it to NAMRA, where you say, I collected $15 on your behalf. I paid $12 to my supplier on your behalf. So the difference, the $3, I owe you that $3, and then you must pay NAMRA that $3. The last point in red there is actually the most important point on this slide, is record keeping. It is of critical importance that you keep a detailed record of all the financial transactions as soon as you are VAT registered, supported by original tax invoices and bank statements. If you get this wrong, NAMRA will severely punish and fine you if you mess that up. So make sure, if you are VAT registered, to keep detailed accounting records supporting by original documents for your VAT transactions. The third tax that SME businesses needs to deal with is employee taxes. Employee taxes actually consist of 3 types of taxes. It's a pay-as-you-earn, Social Security, or a VAT levy. So who needs to pay, who's subject to employees' taxes? Any business who employs any other person for any reason or time. So as soon as you make use of someone's employment for any reason or time, you become an employer and you are subject to these taxes. So what is your responsibility then? Depending, of course, on the amount of remuneration that you pay this employee, you are then required to deduct certain taxes from the remuneration that you paid him, and you need to pay that tax to NAMRA or Social Security or the NTA on a monthly basis. You must pay the money over to them. Pay as you earn, there's a monthly form that you must submit to NAMRA where you say, this is my employees, this is the remuneration that I paid them, this is the amount of tax that I deducted from their salaries, so this is what I need to pay you, and you make your payment for that. Social Security, there's a monthly form where you say, this is my employees, this is the amount of tax that I deducted, and you pay that monthly contribution into the MSD fund or the maternity, sickness, and death fund at Social Security, along with a form that you also again submit. There's also an annual return that you submit to Social Security where you say, this is my total annual remuneration for my staff. And based on that, they will then issue you an assessment and say, this is an amount that you need to contribute to the employees' compensation fund at Social Security annually. Then the last one is VAT levy. As soon as your total company or business payroll exceeds $1 million, and $1 million sounds quite high, but it's actually very fast that your payroll can reach $1 million, so be careful about for this tax. As soon as your company payroll reaches $1 million, then you must register with the NTA for a VAT levy account, and you must pay 1% of your monthly payroll. You must pay into that fund for the NTA. So that part covers your responsibility on compliance. So let's now look at your accountants that you will use in your business. Your accountants that you will get to use is, first off, is your day-to-day accountant. Your day-to-day accountant is usually an employee, or it can even be an experienced external consultant. The purpose of the day-to-day accountant is to process your day-to-day transactions, keep record of your sales, your purchases, do your bank reconciliations. Your second accountant is your professional accountant. Your professional accountant is professionally trained financial accountants. Their purpose is to prepare your financial statements, and they will also provide you with financial consulting services, advice that you might need or not. Professional accountants are always registered either with ICANN or NIPA or SAIBA. There's a whole range of professional accountant institutes where they are registered. Soon they will also be required to register with the Public Accountants and Auditors Board. Then you have your chartered accountants or your auditors. Most people think that is your most important accountant in your business, which is not actually true, because the purpose of your auditor is not to prepare your financial statements or to look into your accounting. Your auditor take the financial statements that is already prepared, and then they perform certain checks and balances to see how reliable the information in that financial statement is. And they will then issue a report to the user of that financial statement and say, you can or you cannot rely on the information in this financial statements. And then you know if you use it. For instance, the banks will heavily rely on that, I'm sure, when you consider someone a loan, for instance. Chartered accountants are always registered with ICANN as well as the PAAB, Public Accountants and Auditors Board. So that brings us to accounting software. Now, accounting software is probably the most important decision that you can ever take in a business. If you get this decision wrong, your business won't survive. So what does accounting software do? Accounting software keeps record of the financial transactions as they happen, and they provide you then with certain reports that you can use to make financial decisions in your business. If you don't have accurate, up-to-date records and information, you cannot take a business decision. If it's wrong, you will take wrong business decisions. Now, there's a lot of software available. There's Sage, ActPack, QuickBook, Vent, Xero. I named a few on the list for you. We at Evolve, we are huge proponents of cloud accounting like Xero or Wave, for instance. The reason for cloud accounting, it drastically reduces your IT risk. If a computer breaks down or gets stolen, you don't lose your data. It's very simple to use. It's quite cheap in most cases. You have 24 hours access to your information. It's always up to date. Your accountant can always be informed or in contact with your information in your business. And you can even have your bank manager can also have access to your information up to date as it happens, so there's no need for sending reports by email or stuff like that. Always speak to your professional accountant when you take this decision. Let them guide you and make sure you select the right software for your business, since this is a very important decision for your business. Accounting and financial statements. All businesses must keep accounting records, and from that accounting records, financial statements need to be prepared annually. This is a requirement by the Income Tax Act, Companies Act, Close Corporations Act, as well as the Trust Monies Protection Act, and it must be done every year, and it must be done irrespective of that business is dormant or not. Even if you have a company or a trust or a CC that is dormant, you must still prepare financial statements. If you don't comply with this regulation, BIPA and the Master of the High Court has the authority to punish or penalize you for that. As a minimum, all financial statements must comply with NACW 1, which is the Namibian Financial Reporting Standards. Once the new Public Accountants and Auditors Act is introduced later on in the year, hopefully, that would most likely change to IFRS for SMEs, which is the International Financial Reporting Standards. That is something that your accountants will know, and they will automatically implement that for you. Like I said in the beginning, make sure you have a proper accountant that is involved in your business from the start. All companies, of course, must submit their financial statements per the Companies Act to a chartered accountant to audit every year. There's certain of the other entities that must do that as well. For instance, a state agent must be audited every year according to NIAP's rules, as well as lawyers, their trust accounts must be audited every year by a chartered accountant. Again, speak to your professional accountant. He will guide you through this and assist you to make sure that you comply with these regulations. I've listed on this slide some tools that is quite helpful to a business. If you manage your own business, get yourself those 3 books that I've listed there. They will make your life much easier to comply with the tax regulations and explain tax to you in much details. It's available at Bookden and at PwC, like I listed there. Also, all the entities that you will work with as an SME has a very nice website. Visit the website, see what is there, the information is there, use the website for your benefit. And if you cannot get right with those 2 points, speak to your professional accountant again, who will definitely know how to assist you with that. Last slide is ITAS. ITAS is an integrated tax administration. Integrated tax administration system. It is used by NAMRA to manage income tax, VAT, PAYE, all the taxes that falls under the jurisdiction of NAMRA is managed through that system. This is a very, very, very important asset to any business to have. Make sure your business is registered on ITAS. Yes. It will allow you to make sure that all your taxes is always up to date, so you will avoid penalties for not submitting returns. It will help you calculate what taxes to pay, so it will avoid penalties and interest for underpayment or late payments. It informs you when your returns is due. If you cannot work the system on your own, speak to your professional accountant so that they can help you. This is a very handy thing to have in your business and to use in your business. So any businessman worth his salt will definitely use this in his business. And that's it from my side. If you have any questions or need any more information, there's our details. You're always welcome to contact us, and we'll always be ready to assist.
Awesome.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you, Stefan. That is quite a mouthful. Now, all of you that thought this was going to be easy, and I said to Stefan, this is tax and accounting made easy for SMEs.
Yes.
You've shown us different options of the legal business person for businesses. What is the most common type for SMEs, would you think?
Most SMEs usually trade either as a CC or as an individual businessman, but it always depends on what your business wants to do or what you want to do with your business.
Yes.
Okay.
That plays a major role in deciding which entity or vehicle to use when you register your business.
Yeah.
So again, that's what I said. Speak to someone, a professional service provider or an accountant, a chartered accountant or a professional accountant for that matter. Explain to them what you want to do, and they will then guide you. For instance, if you want to be a doctor, you cannot use a legal entity. They will then guide you to register. If you want to be an estate agent, for instance, and you're a single businessman, it makes sense to use a closed corporation, whereby if you are a bigger SME with a bigger estate agent, for instance, it might even make sense to rather use a company. So it depends on what you want to do.
Yeah.
So speak to your service providers, and they will then guide you through that process.
But Stefan, it's not always, as an SME or an entrepreneur, you don't always know exactly what the scope of your business is going to be like. So maybe you've now registered it as a CC, and now you need to change your business.
Again, that's why it's important to get that decision right from the start, because, for instance, a CC, you can convert that at BIPA to a company later on if the business grows. Okay. Whereas if you started, for instance, in an individual or in a trust, you cannot convert that if your business should grow later. So automatically, if you start the business with an eye on rapidly expanding it over a certain period, it would be better to start with a CC and graduate up to close cooperation instead of starting as an individual and a trust and then having tried to convert then, which can be quite expensive and cumbersome for you.
All right. So now I just wanted to ask that because I know that people, you know, you think your business is going to do this and then it explodes and now you have to change it. So starting from that point makes all the sense in the world. And small business owners, you know, most of them, if you talk to them, they say they cannot afford a professional accountant. So what would you say to them?
I understand that. Accountants is not cheap. I'm also in the accounting firm. I understand that there is accounting firms that is cheaper and can provide you a cheaper service. There's a good reason for that. That doesn't mean the service is worse than yours or worse than the next guy. There's a good reason for that. So shop around between your accountants if you like, and make sure you get the professional accountant that suits you. But like I said at the beginning as well, make sure what you get for what you pay. It doesn't make sense to say this guy will register my business for $1,000, but then he only register your business at BIPA. And he forgets about NAMRA, Social Security, all the other services. If you go back to him, then you start paying quite expensive. So make sure that when you discuss this with an accountant, that you make sure you cover all the things that needs to happen, and they explain to you everything that needs to happen, and then you compare value for money on that basis. And then sometimes it makes sense to rather pay a bit more at someone who will give you the full service than someone else that will only help you with phase one and then forget about you.
Yeah, and then of course the classic thing, you know, SMEs, they start off with their business and they forget about a tax man, and then they run into problems.
Yes, and then they have to come to someone who charges them a lot, and it starts getting lawyers involved just to sort that thing, and then it can be very much more expensive than even your tax problem. So again, rather pay a bit more for someone that you can trust and make sure it's correct from the start, than trying to save some money at the beginning and then later on paying a lot of money.
So the compliance is so important up front, so that you also know how to budget and to where the money is going, because a lot of people think that VAT portion, they use the VAT portion instead of, I'm sure you can tell us a lot about that.
That's a quite common mistake for people that start with VAT suddenly. You get extra money, that 15% extra money into your bank account, and it's quite nice to have in the bank account, but at the end of the VAT period, the accountant tells you must pay, and then there's no more money to pay. So yes, that's one of the things that's why I listed the 3 accountants for you. Your day-to-day accountant, your professional accountant, and your chartered accountant. Make sure you have your professional accountant handy that can help you to make sure that you plan for this and you correctly budget for this, so that you can put that money aside, or I have that cash flow available. There's that saying in business, debtors is nice, but cash is king. So, so remember to manage your cash flow, because that is then something that will definitely become a problem for you if you don't manage it. And your accountant can definitely help you with that.
You spoke a lot about the cloud-based accounting. Can you elaborate a little bit more about the benefits?
Cloud-based accounting, for those that don't know what I mean by that, or is not up to date with the tech, cloud-based accounting is you have 2 types of accounting. You have desktop-based or cloud-based. Desktop-based is usually you buy accounting software which you install onto a server or onto a desktop computer, and then you use your software, and the data for that software is then stored onto the hard drive of that server or the computer. Now, cloud-based accounting use a server farm on the internet to store the data, so the data is not stored on your computer. And it works like internet banking, for instance, is your Standard Bank's internet banking is technically cloud-based accounting, if you want to put it that way. So it's web-based. It's through the web. You have access to your account, and you do it on an internet browser. You process your accounting, and your data is then stored in the cloud, which is basically a server farm somewhere in the world where they store the data now. People usually ask immediately, but if something happens, what happens to my data? The chance that data will get lost at the server farm is very, very rare. Beginning of the month or somewhere in June, there was an instance where quite a substantial server farm that serves, for instance, the British government, that server farm crashed. And for 2 hours, the server farm was offline. But with the protocols that is in place, they did not lose anything, and they could still.
That's a pity. I'm sure everybody was praying that would happen.
Debt would be wiped.
Because there's backup on backup, and those service farms usually work in the usual rule is that they work in three. So the one is backed up on the other one, and that one is backed up on another one again. Yes. So you will always have through the internet access to your data, and it will never get lost. So it's much safer than having it on a desktop computer that you can drop on the floor or get stolen or something.
That's right.
And then all your data is gone. So.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, no, that makes sense. I just want to see if there's any other questions for you. It looks like that's most of it that has come through. Just a second. Are there any more questions for Stefan? I don't see anything coming through. We can move over to the competition. The two questions that is in the entry form: who is the regulating body for trusts, and the state's designated tax administrator? Who is that? So those are the two questions that comes for Stefan, and that's on the competition form that you can now access, and you can complete those the first two questions. Please remember that you need to fill in all three questions to have a successful entry for the competition. And we will keep it on till after the webinar, or half an hour afterwards, and then we will close it. So you can have a look at that. Let's see if there's any more questions. I don't see anything. Looks like everybody is up to date with their taxes and don't have questions.
Hopefully.
I doubt that very much. I think everybody, they're hoping the government's also in lockdown and safely at home.
Yeah, the government is struggling at the moment because they have large offices, but so far I think they've managed to keep the authority up and running. There's obviously challenges, but I think under circumstances, I don't think they're doing too bad at the moment. Yeah. It could be worse.
Okay. All right. That is that from Stefan. We're going to have a short break. We'll be back in a few minutes. So please access your link to the competition and fill that in. And we'll be back in 5 minutes with Felicia and her presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kwakuna hala, kubanga hala, kwakuna hala, kubanga hala, kwakuna hala, kubanga hala.
I believe in Standard Bank. It can be.
Can make it happen, you can make it happen, can make it happen. We're racing the bar, we're thinking forward, and we're raising our people. Driven to win, being proactive, working in teams, serving the clients. I believe in you and me, I believe in destiny, I believe in where we're going, I believe that it can be. I believe in you
Actually, it can be.
It can be.
Cause we're driven to win.
Driven to win.
I believe in all our hearts. I can change and build and grow. As a team, we're never apart. I believe in the African soul. This is the melody. This is the sound of integrity. We're working on everyone's dream. I said it again. We're driven to win.
I believe in you and me. I believe in destiny. I believe in where we're going. I believe that it can be. I believe in you and me. I believe in destiny. I believe in where we're going. I believe that it can be. That it can be. Dit kan wees met Standardbank. Ons bloed is blauw, behou die spangees. Dit kan wees met Standardbank. Ons bloed is blauw, behou die spangees.
Bankasa, Standard Bank, Kubura Ikarengoso. Bankasa, Standard Bank, Kubura Ikarengoso.
Onde kira, wadating omsna. Sadati, abote ikeira. Onde kira, wadating omsna. Sadati, abote ikeira. Wakuna hala, kubanga hala. Wakuna hala, kubanga hala. Wakuna hala, kubanga hala. Wakuna hala, kubanga hala. We believe in our deepest promises, making possible our people's dreams. We believe in our Namibian soul, our focused minds, our human hearts. Standard Bank. It can be. It can be. I believe in you and me. I believe in destiny. I believe in where we're going. I believe that it can be. I believe in you and me. I believe in destiny. I believe in where we're going. I believe that it can be. That it can be. It can be. It can be. Pamoja Records.
Hello everybody, and you're back. There was one more question that came through for Stefan, and it's Christian, and he's asking whether Evolve has a SME package for SMEs.
Evolve is mainly focused on SMEs, so
Yes.
all our services is geared for SMEs. So we don't want to sell packages. If you sell a package, you start to limit the services that you render. Evolve try to tailor-make the service for each client based on the needs of the client. So if you come to us for a consultation, we will go through your whole business with you, and then we will tailor a proposal for you based on what you need.
Okay.
So we don't have a package that we sell
Yeah.
you, say, that's what you pay and that's what you get.
Okay.
That does not work, because then you start to limit and you start selling this one thing and forgetting about the rest,
Yeah.
and we don't want to do that. So.
Okay, thank you. I think Stefan has answered that question, and also we've posted the link to Stefan's website. You can access it. It's on the chat.
Yes.
So please feel free to contact him, and they can then quote according to your needs. Now, our second speaker for today is Felicia Ewerster. She's Manager of Enterprise Director at Standard Bank, and she directs a team of business bankers tasked to bring SME customers into the digital fold, servicing them via email, telephone, and SMS. She sees a current position as another step in following a passion to develop leadership and grow the Namibian entrepreneur. And with that, I'd like to give over to Felicia and to talk to you about taxes and audits and all that from a bank's perspective. Thank you, Felicia.
Thank you. I know this is not a famous topic. I'll stick to my guns as far as possible and not bore you to death. So let's start off with, what do you need when you want to apply for a business facility, a loan, an overdraft, and so on? So we have, and yes, it looks like a humongous grocery list, but I just want to quickly go through it so that I do believe you've taken quite a number of notes with Stefan's presentation, which there was a couple of things that it's also new to me, and it's awesome to hear that the country as a collective is walking towards the digital world. And I do believe we can integrate so many of our efforts as a collective to make sure that we help our SMEs also into the digital world. So the first item that we need to understand when you are an SME, whether it's a company or closed corporation, is the family tree. And yes, we do, it's maybe a bank terminology, so family tree meaning we have quite a number of entrepreneurs, and the nice word is philanthropists, that has their finger in various pies. So we need to understand your exposure over those various pies, being various entities, trusts, companies, closed corporations, so that we can then assess what is the risk to you as the business owner, because within the world of SME, the business owner remains the surety for the business. Whilst with a big corporate or a big company, you have a board of directors, you have an exco that takes those responsibilities up, while with the SME, the owner is the surety for the business. So that's very important for us to understand. If it is that it's you're starting up, you're still small, you're 1 or 2 owners, 3 owners to the max, then obviously we don't need that, laborious information in terms of family trees. Then it's just the registration document that we just would want to just confirm that these are still the owners of the business. And as we know, as Namibians, we like to maneuver. So sometimes you start out the business with 4 or 5 members, and then you discover, oh no, you're good as a friend, but you're not good in business. And then you find yourself with amending founding statements where you change the ownership of the business. So that's an important part for us. And then this is the part which is usually, if you ask this, then some of SMEs, they want to kick you, scream, or something to that effect. It's the annual financial statements. This is the fundamental on where the bank would decide whether this facility that you are asking for can be repaid out of business activities. So many times I find myself in conversations where customers would ask me, but Felicia, I have a home that is valued at $5 million. I have collateral. So why don't you want to give me the loan? So the thing is, when we are doing business lending and business facilities, the core of your business operations is supposed to repay the facility. And banks are just not into giving facilities against collateral where the core business is actually not profitable yet. So that's just for something to understand. And then if the annual financial statements is older than 12 months, then we also require, older than 6 months, sorry, then we require management accounts just to see whether recent activities in the business is still abreast and will be able to repay the facility. And now with COVID, it's so many volatile instruments in the market that's in play socially, economically, that would impact the business. So management accounts is for us very important at this stage. Then when you have any legal interest in other entities, maybe you are just a signatory, you're a surety, a guarantor, you're a surety to another entity, we would want to see that because it does place some sort of strain on your current exposure in the business that you are operating in. Then for SMEs, personal balance sheet is very important for us because we need to see whether the owner, the director, the members can stand surety for the business in the absence of there being a board of directors or an exco, as I've explained earlier. Then in terms of the cash flow projections, I know this one is also one of those things that, you know, we rework those quite significantly, because it's this pie in the sky type of cash flow forecast that you would get for the first time around, and then we would have conversations and just bring you back to reality. This is what's actually happening in your business, guiding you, coaching you. There are businesses that has gone through a lot of coaching sessions, whether it's through us, whether it's through the accountant, whether it's through programs like Impratech and you know, all these FLI and interventions like that. And then you would find good cash flow forecasts that make sense to the business. But just be cautious that you always, in your cash flow forecast, also then work in the value of the loan that you are requiring, so that we can see, okay, in this forecast, this is what you would see how the business will still stay afloat and remain profitable when we give you the facility. So, and then the security offered, so sometimes the security can be a contract, it can be obviously collateral in premises owned or so. Sometimes it is securities held with your interest within other entities. Sometimes it is investments that you have, whether it's cash investments, offshore investments. Okay, we don't have that a lot in SME world right now. Sometimes it is for the fishermen, it would be quotas that they've received for a period of time. So that is actually also a surety that we would place reliance on. Or alternatively, an overarching agreement that you are forming part of as a subcontractor. So that is also some sort of suretyship that we would take into consideration. Then we would like to see your latest bank statements for 6 months. So whether you are having just bank accounts with us or other financial institutions, we would want to have a view of that and how you are handling those accounts, because we sometimes also guide and say, is it really necessary for you to have 4 different current accounts at 4 different banks? Because it doesn't make sense for your business at this stage. It's too costly to maintain all of them. Maybe consider reducing this one to just a savings account because you're only doing A, B, and C on that, and so on. And then the supporting documentation as they are listed there, I think Stefan has also touched on it, that this is more towards KYC, knowing your customer. And then another, you know, like swear word is the business plan. And please, 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 SMEs of Namibia, do not download Google business plans that is, you know, used in Pennsylvania or so on. You can use it as a guideline, but just bring it a little bit home, where you would say, look, my business is operating in Oshakati. I have approximately a servicing of a population of 4,000, 5,000. Oh. Yes, yes, and also the footer would say, you know, it's a business plan of business X, Y, and Z, and your business's name is ABC. Yeah. Those type of things, just go through it, that it makes sense to your business. Maybe your business is selling kapana, and this business plan was based on hot dogs or whatever the case may be. And then we're also very interested in the CV of the management team, because it is one thing to be an artisan, but it's another thing to run a business.
Yeah.
So like I always say is, I'm a banker, but, you know, yeah, let's leave it at that. They say always the carpenter's cupboards are always broken and the mechanic's car never starts and so on. So similarly, that's what we would want to see, the CV, what's the experience, is there some sort of leadership skills in the team, of the management team, so that we can place reliance on that this business can go somewhere, or alternatively identify coaching areas where we as the bank can assist you with. Then we've mentioned on the different types of businesses, partnerships are not really that familiar or not being done anymore. Not really. They are legacy type of partnerships that still exist, but we actually as a bank would have conversations with such customers saying that you're actually putting yourself in a disadvantaged position. From a risk perspective, we look at COVID. I mean, the one day you're here and tomorrow you're gone. And what happens to the business? Is there sustainability plans? Is there going concern items that are being addressed, succession planning? Are we looking at all those things? So those are just what you need for the facility when we start looking and having the conversation. Then moving on to what are available types of lending that we do for SMEs currently. So obviously the two biggest ones is guarantee by bank, which is also known as bid bonds. Guarantee by bank is usually affixed to government tenders where we would then give the guarantee against a value held with us. And then overdraft, who doesn't know what the overdraft is nowadays? So you have those, and then we have the business credit revolving plan. This one is quite unique. It's where if the business loan is paid off 25%, then the business owner or the business can then revolve to the initial value again. Okay. And then the loan starts again from scratch. Or alternatively, if the business has now expanded, as you mentioned, Desiree, we would then evaluate to even increase the BRCP further on to a higher value that the business can help. So the acronym we say BRCP, but the business credit revolving plan is quite very well used among our farmers. Because with that product, we can also spread it according to what the seasonality is for that specific farmer. So say, for instance, the farmer only offsets livestock every 3 months, then his payments due are only every third month. Same with crop farmers, where it's only every 6 months or every 8 months, then we would term the facility according to that. So that's the BRCP. Then contract financing, this is also one that's very popular with our SMEs. It's your subcontractor, it's your SME that has a tender or alternatively a contract that is servicing towards. This one is very, nowadays, it was previously very well known in the construction industry, but it's sort of collapsed. Now it's more rampant in our mining operations and the supply to hospitals and clinics that has improved, like for instance your Ngwediva Medipark, your Chume Private Hospital, that has really been improved in so many ways and forms in terms of the usage of local SMEs to do the supply chain and so on. So then this one is not so famous. It's the dealer floor plans. This is more towards dealerships, car dealerships. They are a couple, but they are more your medium SMEs that would do these facilities with us. Okay. And then invoice discounting, it's not that high in demand yet, because I do believe that that would only increase when we see a better increase in import and export with SMEs. I do believe that all the work that the government is doing with regards to Africa free trade is something that delights and it opens the world to the Namibian SME to be able to trade. So what invoice discounting is the bank would settle your debt with your debtor at a discounted price, and you get then discount of a 5% or 10%, and you then incur debt with us in order to settle that debt ahead of time. Then you get your product, you sell, and then you settle us. Yeah. So, and then you remain in good standing with your supplier, but while still your business is in operations, and the cash flow towards that, the working capital that's available for you to kickstart your business or either grow your business is then a lot more easier for you to do. So sometimes in bigger consortiums like with manganese, the bank also gets involved and asks look, can't we do this for you guys as the suppliers, so that our guys at the bottom of the food chain, whether it's an SME or corporate, can then get that cash flow running, so that the business sustainability and job creation is still at large. So then we have the medium-term loan. This one is now more up to 15 years. It would be for big things like purchasing a farm or purchasing big, assets, and we would then also term the repayment according to the cash flow of that business. And then we obviously have our vehicle and asset finance, also very, we use it a lot, and what we've seen is that a lot of SMEs are now investing in gadgets like your drones, like better equipped iPads, laptops,
Yes.
Machinery that can do the business instead of people.
Automated,
Yeah, so more automated type of things. We also see we have quite a number of laboratories countrywide that are just improving on the standard of what they are using currently. We have quite a number of hydroponics and aquaponics green schemes going on, and they are also acquiring quite a number of machinery in terms of processing or filtering and so on. What we've also seen is our engineering industry is picking up quite significantly, where construction is tipping the other way around, where engineering local skills are being brought in much more, and the acquisition of those skills and the tools that goes with it, and these big things that they ship in, machinery and tools, has really picked up, and it's interesting to see what we are doing, and really there is really it's evident in what we see on a daily basis. There's a whole focus on government to keep Namibian assets within Namibia. Yeah, so that is also something delightful for us to mention. So with that, that's all from my side from a product perspective, and then I just want to end off with what we've launched recently on our, you can look at our Standard Bank Facebook page, or you can email us at the email address shown on the screen, is that we've done the credit guarantee scheme, where the bank, in partnership of Development Bank and Nazria, we give collateral to the value of 40% of the loan that you would want to acquire, and then to help you to create sustainable jobs. It's also at a reduced interest rate, and then we have the Bank of Namibia loan scheme for SMEs as well, which is at prime lending rate currently. So you are welcome to pop us a mail at the email box, and we will guide you through in terms of what we would require for your business to then qualify for that. So awesome. That's all from my side. Thank you, Des.
Okay, that was quite a mouthful, Felicia, and thank you for that presentation. I think everybody that now, especially the startups, are now totally overwhelmed with all the forms and everything that they need to do. And so if I arrive at the bank and I'm starting up my business, and
Yes.
is there somebody that will guide me at the bank and help me to fill in these forms, tell me exactly what I need and where
Yes.
to go and find
Yes.
what?
So we would give you the checklist together with the application form that we start off with, and then we would just circle on the checklist. These are the things that you need to get. This one is from your accountant. This one is from who or the management. But most of the things that we require nowadays, the only thing that's actually external is the financials that you would get from your accountant. The other things we supply, even the business plan, we've created a form that you can just complete for us, so that we can understand where your business is at and where it's going. Just to make it easier for them, and that they don't have to go and, pay huge monies for that. We can look at a further stage where we say, okay, we've given you the facility now, but within a year we would want to see a proper business plan as a condition of meeting the facilities, because we all know that we're all struggling. I've seen a nice clip going around on social media saying it's bietjie money, is bietjie geld, maar is myne. So that's the one thing. And we really just here with, we have quite a number of coaching sessions and interventions to make sure that we meet each other halfway. Where the bank can assist, they will.
Okay.
So in each and every branch of ours, we have universal consultants available to help you through that checklist.
Yeah.
If it's like me, that don't want to leave the house, you can just pop us a mail and we will send everything through to you via email as well.
Yeah, this is now the next thing I wanted to ask with the so-called electronic banking channels or self-help banking.
Yes.
The SMEs, are they on board with this? Are they coping with?
Yes, you would be surprised. They are actually pushing us to come up with solutions because they've discovered it is creating less cost.
Okay.
And that they can actually do banking and all these things any time of the day because, you know, especially the guys that are in a trade where they need to be on a specific site.
Yeah.
They don't have the time to go and queue in a bank.
Yes.
They don't have the time, they don't have the luxury to leave their shop.
Yes.
Because there is nobody else that they trust
Yeah.
to look after the goods in their shop. So they do their banking after hours. So yes, they are pushing us to be more, to enable them more on our platforms at this stage. Yes, we find still, you know, the uncle that is driving the business, but then he would have a cousin or niece that would, you know,
Be tech savvy.
yes, that would be very tech savvy, that they would, you know, do the link with the Teams call. Or alternatively, sometimes they ask us, can we rather do a WhatsApp call because the Teams is not, you know, their way of communicating, and we do. Yeah.
Okay. That's great to hear. And then with the various types of lending that you've just run through, do you assist SMEs on the type of lending that would be most suitable for their businesses?
Yes, so we would have conversations to see what is the term, what is the repayment that the business can afford, and then also how quick do you need it. So an overdraft is something that you need quickly, but it's also at a higher cost. But not all can always, sustain an overdraft. So sometimes we would say, okay, quickly, we will give you the overdraft, but after a month when A, B, and C is in place, then we would rather move it over to a loan that's spread over a period of time. So we have those conversations to tailor make it according to your needs. And I think the banks has also now come to realize that we cannot box a business in our products. We must tailor make it. And there's a lot of more flexibility after last year's, learnings, that we tailor make it according to your business needs. That's why there's so many flexibility in terms of we term the repayment according to what the business can afford or the business cycle.
Okay. There's a question here, or not a question, actually Elizabeth is asking a reduced interest rate. Very thankful if that is a possibility. That's what they're asking for.
Yes, so we're looking to tier the interest rates. So usually with SMEs, it was always usury max, because the risk for SMEs to lend to SMEs, there's so many variables that are unknown with an SME. So what we are doing is we are looking at our internal scoring mechanisms to look at what is your risk rating with us internally, and then align your interest rate that we charge you according to that. And obviously we do a number of calculations like your gearing and such on your financials, and then we would have a conversation with you with your debt service cover ratio and all those things. So yes, we are reducing the interest rate.
Okay. There are no more other questions. There's this, Christian is just saying, it was very insightful, and thank you. They'll be getting in touch with you, Stefan, and get hold of you. And someone just asked for your link, which we've posted, and I think that's it. I don't know if there's anything else for Felicia. The other thing I wanted to say, Felicia, where do they get hold? Do they have to just go through enterprise banking? Can they go to the bank in their town, or is there a specific?
So they can visit their branches if they feel like a walk-in, and there will always be a universal consultant to assist, or otherwise the branch manager. Alternatively, they can pop us an email on the email address provided and the telephone numbers provided as well. So the 92510 number, it's not a fake number, it's the new MTC toll-free numbers. So if you don't have credit on your cell phone, you use that one. We don't charge you. The bank carries the cost for the conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got the numbers, where to get hold of Felicia. It's on the screen, and we will post it on the chat as well, and then you can contact their branch or your branch and get all the necessary information that you would require for starting up or for the growth that your business have experienced, and I hope that's true for everybody out there
Yes,
right now.
absolutely.
The last question that is on the competition form: does the bank require a business plan for the application of financing? I think that one is quite straightforward. Felicia has answered that question already. So there's your third question. Please make sure before you leave the site that you answer all the questions and submit your entry form. You stand a chance to win a PayPal's business voucher worth 500 Namibia dollars from Standard Bank. And then please remember that the chat room is open. If you want to ask any more questions, it will be forwarded to the presenters if there's anything else that you want to pose or talk about. With that, I would like to thank our presenters here today for giving their time and expertise and answer all your questions. I sincerely thank you. I wanted for today for you to understand the various rules and laws, regulations that govern your business, and that you take advantage of the benefits while ensuring that you stay in compliance at all times. And I think they have done that. They have done that brilliantly. So thank you so much. Now, our next talk scheduled for July, the topic is Hire, Fire and Inspire. And it is quite essential now at this stage because 70% of organizations believe that the biggest concern for remote working is productivity. And so this is one of the points that we will discuss. And obviously the soft skills that have now become table stakes. You will have to be able to use all the new gadgets and means of communicating and working from home, and then also to engage employees outside of the Zoom box.
Yes.
I think for HR managers that's quite a concern, and then fostering the agility and flexibility in a job as a leader. I think the psychological effect of what is happening around us and for employees and then to make them productive. This is quite a challenge. And if there are safe structures and how they treat the employees now is of major concern. So those will be the things that we're looking at with our next webinar. And I invite you to stay in tune with us, and then please join us again for the next one. And we're also looking forward to Standard Bank for that next prize that they will be able to sponsor us. And then please remember that the competition winner will be announced at the next webinar as well. So make sure that you complete the entry form. And thank you to Standard Bank for making this possible, also to our technical team for the communication. And everybody can watch this countrywide. So thank you so much for all of you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and best wishes. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.